third session, which will be streamed, would be the leadership roundtable. Now, you've heard about the GANs. You've seen the demystified talk about the GI for NLP. Now, this session is really going into the trenches, which is about the generative AI and the whole adoption strategies, which is more about really saying, look, how do we unleash the business potential, which is important. You want to democratize GI and also look at shaping the future, because this whole future forward looking approach is we have consciously taken in this entire conference, because what exists today may not be relevant tomorrow. Now, this leadership roundtable have really four master, I would say, set of leaders. Swati Jain, she is the Vice President Analytics at EXL. Mitali Dutta, she's the head of data science and AI/ML at Philips. And we've got Rupesh Khare, who's the global head analytics and data science and AI for ABB. And to moderate this session, we have none other than Satyakam Mohanty, Sati, as he's fondly known. He's an entrepreneur and a very successful entrepreneur. Over to you, Sati.
Thank you, Samir and Bhaskar, and welcome everyone to this panel on adoption of generative AI in organizations. As everybody knows, generative AI has taken the world by storm. We've everybody knows the story of how ChatGPT took just 5 days to hit the first million users. And it is estimated that in the next 2 years, generative AI is going to generate at least 10% of all data globally. That's just phenomenal. Now, while ChatGPT and generative AI on the whole will take its own due course to get where it will, what we have for you today is a panel that are pioneers in this space, that are already adopting generative AI, and they're here to tell you what the future is going to look like. So starting with Swati, and my question to you, and it's this question to all of you actually, because all of you represent very distinct spaces, is this, right? Can you tell all of us, can you tell all the folks who are listening in, can you give them examples of how generative AI has been adopted firsthand through your own experiences, and what did it take to get there? What is the state of readiness needed to be able to adopt, and what could be some of the challenges and risks? So starting with you, Swati.
Thank you so much, Satyakam. It's a pleasure to be here today in this one of the largest Gen AI conferences in the country. And I'm everyone. I'm Swati Jain. Thank you, Satyakam, for the nice question directly about adoption. Because there's a lot of talk going on around what is happening, how Gen AI is transforming and all, but what is happening on the ground in terms of adoption. So that's it's nice to be talking about this. And so I'll begin with a statistic from IDC that about 70% of organizations are using enterprise intelligence services are actively considering using Gen AI, or they are working with the use cases on Gen AI. So 70% of organizations are active in this area in one form or the other. Maybe they are just exploring with service providers like us, or going forward with experimenting with the use cases. And so in terms of adoption, what we are seeing as a service provider, I am from EXL. So what we are seeing and what we propose, that there are three categories of adoption. It can be employee facing, it can be rep assistance, or it can be for customer experience. So from an employee facing perspective, it is whether employees want a summary of policy documents, or even from the coding perspective, automating codes and using coding effectively. So that is one aspect from the employee side. Then from a rep assistant side, again, real-time nudges to the reps coming from generative AI, automatic extraction of information, etc. And from a customer-facing side, it is more around personalized marketing or automated answers to the customers from chatbots, etc. So there are these different categories, which are the use cases that are being considered in the industry. Now, from our side, I'll give some certain examples, and specifically, like we have already implemented Gen AI for one of our clients based in insurance clients based in Australia, and there again we are helping them with with respect to their claim assistance. So there, for the like when the reps are assisting, then automated extraction of information is one area. Then post that, real-time nudges to the agents, proactive guidance to the agent, and then at the end of the call, automated call summary. So that is one of the examples where generative AI is assisting, and there's 25% reduction in agent time in handling the conversations. So that is one area. Even in healthcare, if we see that there is a lot of there's implementation, and currently we've tried in some of these areas where the reps are assisting, and what we see is better, not only the speed and efficiency, but also in terms of quality of service, in terms of better resource utilization, and enhanced customer experience. So these are the examples. Then coming to internal functions, also in finance, also
Swati, your mute's turned on.
Oh, sorry. Thanks for mentioning that. So I was saying that that was more customer facing, but even if we see internal functions, be it finance, legal, procurement, there are a lot of use cases that are being tried, be it with respect to query handling or AI-led forecasting, or even just classifying the various bids that are coming to procurement. So these are some of the use cases that we see. Now, what we say that in terms of uh, organizational readiness for this, there has to be robust data layer. So data has to be the right data has to be used to be able to give the right outputs. Then domain expertise is very critical here. So that is another aspect that we see in terms of organizational readiness. And the third is security and compliance. So that is what I have personally observed, that and in all the client conversations that I have done across variety of clients, even in the India geography, I see that these are some of the conversations that come up when we are looking at identifying the right use cases. Is the data ready? Like the area I should deep dive in with respect to it is where I have the right domain expertise, and what are the security and compliance considerations. So that is what I would say. And in terms of the how one has to proceed is like one should the I think restrict to more closed data sets, the data sets that have been verified, as well as ensure human in the loop, so that it is not that get we get unexpected consequences later. So a human in the loop is going to mitigate the risks. So that is primarily, in a nutshell, I would like to say.
That was excellent, Swati. That was excellent, and you can clearly see somebody who's doing this firsthand was right there. So thank you for that. Going over to you, Rupesh, and you represent a very distinct space. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're seeing.
Thank you, Sati, and thank you so much for having me here. A pleasure talking to you. To be honest, you know, uh, the concept of generative AI to explain to our stakeholders internally and to convince them it's not. It was not easy. It was not easy, and it's natural. It's absolutely natural that the fundamental question we used to get that what is the difference between traditional AI and generative AI, right? So then you explain and then explain the value of it, that how it shifts, and obviously there are mixed opinion about chat gpt. So you will encounter people who are having different positions when it comes to generative AI, because sometimes it's a very natural reaction to sit back. No, why should we do that? And we have the challenges, right? Few of them, Swati talked about data and domain, and those are consistent challenges, throughout when you do machine learning, deep learning, and AI. But especially about generative AI, my challenges were more on the softer side, more on the acceptance side. I know the privacy, the data, that technical side, we will take care of it. But convincing and the stakeholder, showing the value to it, giving the assurance that we are secure. Those are the things which were more on the top of the challenging list rather than going on the technical side. I'm not saying that we have crossed the bridge till now, but we have attained reasonable success, and that has been reflecting on various use cases which we are doing. So the application in the industry like mine and ours is broader. We see the application in marketing and sales. We see the application in product and product development and design. We see a lot of application in quality control, and then the most important application which we see through Gen AI is in supply chain, because that's being a company in manufacturing sector where a percent of improvement in inventory on logistic can save millions of dollars too. So it makes huge difference to us, and we have been doing it, and we see a lot of movement and needle movements in that area. One good example I want to give, where we successfully applied, is that as I said, it was a journey of my stakeholders and customer to embrace analytics per se, maybe 4 or 5 years before or 10 years before. Now, when we saw ourselves standing on a firm ground, and when we talked about generative AI, the very natural reaction was that okay, if it's going to give me good results, why don't we talk about integrated products? So earlier using AI, we've been talking about we have been working on supply chain, we have been working in finance, we have been working on marketing, customer side, and the viewer in silos. And through generative AI, we make a big shift, developing 2 distinct products which are integrated. So when I'm and those products are called Calcus and Alchemist. And when we talk about initial stage of this product, so it let's say they were giving the financial forecast for next 5-6 quarter based on internal and external variables. External could be financial, PMIs, GDPs, and all that. And then the situation came that my group CFO says that doesn't give me enough picture, right? And okay, I'm going to get the order of, let's say, X billion dollar in next 5 quarter. How is going to impact my other KPIs, production, customer, assets, right? And that is where we have started working. I'm not saying that we have completed the product. So enhancement of this product, which is end-to-end, which gives more degree of freedom and autonomy to the customers to change the variables and do it themselves. Because another sentiments came from the customer during this journey was that give us the project or product where I can change things my own. I can and I see the results. And that challenge was initially was okay, we'll do it, but and we made the product. So that is where, as an organization, we shifted from project to product, and that integrated product. And then the next stage was to bring all the related KPIs in financial forecasting in that product and through generative AI. And I think many things in analytics you can't quantify, right? Like quality of deliverables. Of course, it improved the execution time by 30%. But few things which are the quality of decisions, right? We can't quantify. The ease of decision making we can't quantify, but we can see that through AI product, and then supplemented it by generative AI did wonders to us, Sati.
That was fantastic, Rupesh. It's and the journey that you took, and if we have time, I want to come back to you and talk about the challenge you raised, because change management, we all know, is tough, right? And especially if it's a new space that you're trying to crack or a new technology you're trying to crack, we can totally see it. So we'd love to hear more from you if we have time.
Yeah.
But now we'll go to Mitali. Mitali is again a very different vertical, which he'll tell you about. So Mitali, over to you.
Thank you, Satyakam. And first of all, thank you to my fellow panelists here, Rupesh and Swati, for sharing interesting insights and your experience in this new word which is called generative AI. I could never think of the word generative AI when I started my career. I could not think of cloud when I started my career. And now we are hearing all these words. We are hearing ethical AI, and there are so much. But what when we were doing, we were talking about only predictive analytics when we started our career. So I think in terms of technology, in terms of solutioning, not much has changed. But what has changed is how the world has adopted the power of data in giving predictive insights and doing things so much efficiently that we have never thought about it 2 decades back. So, with that, I think I'll just focus on what Satyakam wants me to talk, which is healthcare, technology as an industry, and we are into that business. And I have seen and learned a lot about how in the healthcare technology sector there are many things that's evolving. And I'll just quote few things. I was reading the World Economic Forum, and I just was reading about what's getting spoken about. And what I see is the generative AI has a market opportunity of $6 trillion according to Morgan Stanley, and it's impossible to ignore the impact that this technology is set to have. It's going to. And generative AI isn't just a passing trend; it's a rapidly evolving ecosystem of tools growing in a popularity that even a small a kid in a school to a teenager in a college knows about it, and it's showing a huge potential to revolutionize the healthcare in the ways we have never seen before. um, Also, if you think about the technology as a generative AI, it is just not chat gpt, it is more than that. It can handle various data types, which is including your text, images, audio, video, 3D modeling, and even code. So we are hearing about everywhere that this is trying to take the power of the data, while some estimates in the World Economic Forum is also suggesting that it could even raise the global GDP by 7% over the next 10 years. I don't know, it's just getting quoted. The potential applications of the generating AI can go well beyond just economic gains, is my personal opinion on it. In this industry, what's so relevant right now is that the AI evolution is right now. Even the inflection point has come. And why addressing is now so critical for the healthcare is because our world is actually, dealing with a couple of problems in the healthcare sector. We have incidents of pandemics that we have seen. There is a surge in chronic diseases like mental health, concerns, and rapidly aging population. The healthcare industry is undoubtedly struggling to keep up with the rising demand for a high quality healthcare service. And access to healthcare, I think we have learned it practical way in the pandemic, had actually fallen apart when the pandemic was hit. People were struggling for resources of healthcare professionals, care of the professional, plus as well as the resources were missing from ground. And hence, if you look at the facts and the access to the healthcare, according to the World Health Organization, there is this 1 in a million of a person being injured while traveling, by aircraft, versus 1 in 300, which will be a chances of having an individual being harmed by throughout the patient journey if it doesn't get the care, the person does not get the care. And prior researchers have shown that up to 50% of all the medical records in a primary care have some or the other administrative, reasons or the errors. WHO also estimates that the projected shortfall of 10 million healthcare professionals by 2030 in the countries which are called middle to low income countries, and hence access to healthcare is a bigger problem for the world, not just for our company, right? Um, and as you could see with this context, the application in the healthcare has started. We may like it, not like it, but generative AI is all out there. And the couple of applications that we are seeing ourselves, and we are generating large systems data from Philips, so we understand how this data from the systems and the equipment that are actually getting used for research and studies and the applications in the healthcare. One very common, I think all of us can relate to, is the clinical decision making. So generative AI is able to actually read so much medical records right now, the results, the imaging data, the text of the clinicians and doctors, that typically a professional of an MBBS will understand, but now technology can also understand what it is telling. And it is giving medical professions an accurate and informed diagnosis, and on top of it, medical and professions can actually add more insights and treat the patient. The next thing, the next application in the healthcare which is happening is prediction of pandemic preparedness. According to the National Geography, there are more viruses in existence than stars in the universe. And generative AI models have emerged as a vital source of insights for scientists to basically do societal, scale effects of catastrophic events and model new pandemics and develop preventive measures, antibodies around it. So world can be more prepared. The third application which is happening in the healthcare is about personalized medical care. All of us wear the wearable devices these days. Our heart, our pulse, our sugar is getting monitored. Where is all this data going? This data is going at the back in the engines. There are algorithms getting developed to give us the personalized care, to give us preventive care, to keep ourselves healthy and not land up into the hospitals. And the fourth, I think this was traditional, it was already existing, but generative AI is really helping in the healthcare, is improving drug, discovery and development. Now, generative AI platforms have come in, and rather than human trials and waiting for a lot of FDA regulations to go through those human trials to basically declare a drug to be, valid and acceptable in the markets, in various, it could be North America but not working in China, could be in a back market but not working in any other, meta market. But now you have these platforms which are made tailored to the geography, and they're actually testing the drug trial data through the data in the history, and is actually giving green or red or amber signals to the drugs, usages or approvals. One such company is called Insilio Medicine, which is already doing it in the world. So these are four right applications of generative AI. It is happening in the healthcare, and we are seeing the applications from it. So I'm not going to talk about risk at this time, but we are also aware of the risk, Satyakam, which I think will be the next interesting topic to get into.
That was great, Mitali. Thank you for taking us through that, the global to local view of how healthcare is being transformed. And yeah, you're right. We can spend the entire day if we really wanted to get into all of this. So these are great examples that we heard from all of you. And Mitali, you stay right there because the next question is going to start with you. And it's the same question to all of you. And you get 1 minute, and you have to tell us, our audience here, that as experts who are already in there doing this, in the next 12 to 18 months, right, what do you see happening, in your spaces, in your industry spaces, as far as generative AI adoption is concerned? So pick that you think is the most relevant, prediction that you're making for your spaces, and you get 1 minute. Starting with you, Mitali.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Satyakam. I think my fellow colleagues will speak more about it because they have a lot of experience in the enterprise side of looking at the adoption of it. But as in the healthcare, I'm indicating the adoption has started. The adoption is happening right now on ground. The associated risk towards this is the next attention area for the next 12 to 18 months, or maybe it's in next 2 to 3 years. People will keep on looking at the output accuracy, because in the healthcare it's a highly dependent on the quality of the data sets, as my fellow people also spoke. But we have a huge risk if that goes wrong. It can actually create more harm than value, right? And hence the quality of the data sets used to train them, including the medical records, lab results, imaging studies, output accuracy is going to be our biggest attention area. Any error here cannot be, and any biases in the algorithms also cannot be tolerated. The tolerance levels will be very critical, because if we would have not taken the right population to train the algorithms to give, it will not represent the full population, and not representing the full population actually will bring more harmful insights than a useful value back for the humanity. So these are definitely the top priorities for healthcare industry. And second, of course, I think my fellow peers will definitely speak about is getting the data right. It's going to be the paramount. This data is not a structured data that we bring and keep it. This data requires big space in the clouds, computing power, and an ability to model it in a way and keep it that people can make sense out of it, right? So managing this data, creating the platforms to engineer this data right, and making sure it's an on prompt algorithms services that it's going to get into, which means somebody says something, it goes back to the data and comes out like with the speed of a light. So these are the real challenges that this industry is going to spend more time on. And in our company, we are heavily investing into such technologies to explore, learn, and create platforms for these generative AIs to work. So I think that's what I would like to add, Satyakam.
Super, super. Um, my next panelist that I would like to answer this is Rupesh. Rupesh, your top prediction for the next 12, 18 months.
I think quite a lot Mitali has covered. That those are the consistent issues with us. But if I talk about manufacturing industry, it's going to be cautious. It's going to cautious because though we have good sign of embracing the idea and doing it, but as a nature of industry, we don't move that fast as as other industry. So we are going to be cautious. And given that there are talks about good things and bad things about Gen AI, so we will be moving, taking baby steps to prove the points. Accuracy is, of course, what Mitali is saying is going to be paramount, because to convince the stakeholders, ease of business and the revenue through accuracy is the journey. So that's anyway is the bone of contention for us also for the next maybe 18 months or 2 years time period. Infrastructure from the data perspective, it is going to be there, and we are also investing a lot there. But I personally, say that that's a solvable problem, because you can invest and you can buy it. The bigger problems are the skill set, the maturity of the stakeholders to accept it, and surely we are not going to boil the ocean immediately, right? We will continue producing encouraging results which can buy their confidence. And yeah, after 12 months to 18 months period, I'm sure the way it is turning out is going to be giving fantastic result to us, and then we may fly high. Yeah.
Thank you for those words, Rupesh. It's it doubles down on the viewpoint that we heard. So the pattern is emerging. Over to you, Swati.
Thanks, Satyakam. And I agree with the points raised by Mitali and Rupesh. And I know we are just on top of time, so I will very quickly say that in the next 12 to 18 months, I expect that almost every industry that we are serving, I will be in conversations with clients on the Gen AI use cases, the experimentations that they have done, and we've supported them, and what is working, what is not working. So what will emerge is identification of the use cases that are delivering real value, real outcome across each of the industry and each of the functions in the organizations. So like when analytics evolved, there were certain use cases that everybody was trying. I think that will be the case. It will be identified that not everything can be solved by generative AI. So not every use case will be successful here. It will the ground of experimentation will bring forth the cases where it is failing, and then what can be done to improvise it. So I think the key is like we will move towards the outcome focus, number one. Second is, of course, responsible AI will gain prominence in the 12 to 18 months. So all aspects of privacy, security, compliance, accountability, transparency, explainability, all of these will come to the fore as Gen AI is coming to the fore, and they will have to work in tandem. Thirdly, also education around Gen AI in terms of prompt engineering courses and all of that will also evolve. So overall, the ecosystem will be much more mature in the next 12 to 18 months. That's what I have to say, Satyakam.
Super. This was a fantastic panel, and all of you folks who are listening, I'm sure you've taken away first-hand direct experience of what early adoption looks like, and we heard some fantastic examples, from global to local applications. And the very interesting thing that I was personally taking away in this panel is, when you talk generative AI in the the general population, you're thinking of things like Midjourney, you're thinking of things like ChatGPT, and it's very content centric, right? And that world will evolve. That world will also use a lot of generative AI. But to see enterprise businesses adopt in the way that you are is going to be truly transformative. That's what's going to change our world. And so thank you so much for that. And I will just, what we heard in the end, in my view, I think what we are hearing is that the early adopters are going to double down and consolidate. So those of you who've not adopted it, I'm sure you are going to start your experimentation journeys. But anybody who started, they're going to actually double down, pick the right use cases, and figure out, how to actually truly make it work in a safe and constructive way. So thank you all. Fantastic for a bit of panel that we had today. And back to you, Sameer and Bhaskar.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.